Hi everyone. Today we are going to see principles of design. So let's talk about composition first. What is composition in art? This is a significant part in art. So composition is the overall design or organization of a work. In other words, composition is the organization of all the visual elements within a work of art. Artists design their compositions using guidelines known as the principles of design. So artists use these 5 principles of design when they create compositions. First, unity and variety. And the second is balance. And the third one is scale and proportion. And fourth one is emphasis and subordination. And the last one is pattern and rhythm. So in this video, we are going to see the first 3 principles, unity and variety, balance, and scale and proportion. So let's see unity and variety first. So unity is oneness, the sense of oneness, things belonging together and making up a coherent whole. And there are 3 types of unity. First one is compositional unity, and the second one is conceptual unity. And the third one is gestalt unity. So let's see one by one. An artist creates compositional unity by organizing all the visual aspects of a work. So these 3 similar diagrams illustrate the idea of compositional unity. So although A is unified, but it lacks the visual interest of B. And while C is a unified work, its visual variety feel incoherent and chaotic. And artists use the element of art to create compositional unity. So these paintings, chaotic scene of shipwrecked man on a raft in the turbulent sea is unified by its strong composition. So the implied diagonal lines, or the diagonal lines created by the man's dying bodies, the raft's mast and arms reaching out for rescue from an X shape that provides a strong framework for the figures and heightens dynamic intensity. So now let's see conceptual unity. For example, there are diverse images, and I set a conceptual idea as full bloom. So I picked 3 images like flower full bloom, cauliflower's full bloom, and C, anemone's full bloom. So it seems like there is no connection between these 3 images. However, these are conceptually united. The conceptual links that artists make between symbols and ideas derive from the collective experiences of their culture. So these two influences both the means that artists use to create a unity and the viewers in interpretation of the work. So here's another example of conceptual unity. So this is Joseph Cornell's mixed media work. So his work seems to suggest mysterious ideas and elusive feelings. The diverse shapes, colors, and other characteristics of everyday things come together to form distinctive images. So Cornell has collected objects from life and sealed them in a box. So the bird is caged and unable to get out. And a yellow ball sits traps on two rails that limit its freedom of movement to roll back and forth. So neither bird nor the ball is free. The bird and the yellow ball are conceptually united. So now let's see Gestalt unity. Gestalt, a German word for form or shape, refers to a work of art in which the whole seems greater than the sum of its part. This is Vishnu dreaming the universe, which is a relief panel from Temple of Vishnu in India. We can discover the many faces of Gestalt by examining the ancient Hindu relief Vishnu dreaming the universe. So in this stone carving, an abundance of human figures surrounding a much larger reclining figure, and this is the god Vishnu dreaming. The repetition of the human shapes that attend Vishnu creates compositional unity, and these similar shapes link to each other visually. And let's see variety. So variety is opposite meaning of unity. Variety is differences that provide interest and contrast in art. Now, in art, variety is a collection of ideas, elements, or materials that are fused together into one design. Variety can invigorate a design. So this example shows a composition of shapes set into a rectangle on a grid. And even though the grid structure is predictable, the variety of shapes and values counteracts the rigid structure. So many artists use this kind of variety of express an energy that would be lost if there were too much unity. So variety is the artist's way of giving a work of art a jolt. So unity is the sense of oneness, and the variety is the differences in art. So it looks like a totally opposite concepts, right? However, all artworks include unity and variety together. So let me share the examples. So look at this painting by Jackson Pollock. Paul Jackson Pollock was an American painter and a major figure in the abstract expressionist movement. He was widely noticed for his technique of pouring or splashing liquid household paint onto a horizontal surface, and that technique is called action painting. Can you find the unity and variety in this painting? And when we see the whole painting, we can see the oneness by using same technique on the canvas. And we can see Pollock repeated splashing paint with lots of layers. But when we see it closer, we can see the splashed paint's colors are different and the sizes and shapes are in random. So that factors make the variety in this painting. The Pollock's painting has unity and variety at the same time. So here's another example. So what's the unity and the variety in this work of art? So this work of art is using conceptual art with text and photographs. It repeats in the pieces of work. And that factors can be unity in this work of art. And when we see the composition, it looks like very natural. So we cannot find the unity in the composition. Also, the text art has different colors and the photographs shows different body parts. That factors can be variety in this work of art. So as you can see, unity and variety are always together in a work of art. That gives us interest and pleasure in the oneness. Now let's move on to the second principles of design, balance. Balance refers to an apparent heaviness or lightness of forms arranged in composition. So there are two types of balance in art, symmetrical balance and asymmetrical balance. So symmetrical balance is the mirror images of shapes or forms on either side of an imaginary axial dividing line. The elements correspond to one another in size, shape, and placement. So look at this pattern image. So there is an imaginary vertical axial on the center of the image, like this. And the left side of the vertical axial corresponds to the right side image. So this is called symmetrical balance. And here is another example. So there is an imaginary horizontal axial on the center of the image. In the top part of the axial corresponds to the bottom part. This is symmetrical balance. So asymmetrical balance now is two sides that do not correspond to one another in size, shape, and placement. So generally, there are 6 types of asymmetrical balance. So number 1, a large form is visually heavier than a smaller form. Number 2, a dark value form is visually heavier than the light value form of the same size. And number 3, the textured form is visually heavier than the smooth form of the same size. Number 4, a complex form is visually heavier than a simple form of the same size. Number 5, 2 or more small forms can be balanced a larger one. Number 6, a smaller dark form can balance a larger light one. So let's see the examples. So this is Pablo Picasso's painting, Girl Before a Mirror in 1932. Which types of asymmetrical balance type do you think in this painting? The left woman and the woman in the mirror sizes look similar, but the left one is bright and the right one is dark. So that is the second type of asymmetrical balance. Here's another example by Gustav Klimt's painting. So which asymmetrical type did the artist use in this painting? So there is a chunk of bright people on the right side, and there is a dark ghost on the left side. And the size is relatively smaller than the right side one. So this is the number 6 asymmetrical balance type. The small dark form can balance the large light form. And here is a tricky example. Can you guess which asymmetrical balance applied in this Oriental painting? So the one on the left top corner, and there are some objects in dark. And the rest part is empty with the bright paper color. So this is the number 6 asymmetrical balance with the small dark form and the large light form in an image. So now let's move on to the third principles of art, scale and proportion. So scale is the size of an object or artwork relative to another object or artwork, or to a system of measurement. And proportion refers to the size relationship between parts of a whole or between 2 or more items perceived as a unit. So scale and proportion both have to do with the size. The scale of a work of art communicates ideas. Small scale pieces force viewers to come in close to experience the artwork. A small scale work implies intimacy. And the larger scale works can be experienced by groups of viewers and usually communicate big ideas directed at a large audience. This is a David statue in 1501 to 1504 by Michelangelo. He was one of the Renaissance masters and a rival of Leonardo da Vinci. And this is a biblical episode, and Michelangelo depicted David for his victory after a battle with Goliath. So Michelangelo's David looks like a hero and grandeur. So, and this statue is much larger than life size because Michelangelo used a monumental scale for indicating heroism. So like this David statue, scale can be used for showing a meaning in art. And this is Palette of Narmer by ancient Egyptian. This is more popular as Narmer's pose, which is typical of Egyptian art. When depicting an important personage, the Egyptian artists strove to show each part of the body to best advantage so that it could be read clearly by the viewer. So Narmer's body, so this is Narmer, is seen in profile, and his torso full front, and his head in profile, but his eye front again. This same pose recurs throughout most two-dimensional art in Egypt. So now let's focus on the size of figures. So Narmer is obviously larger than other figures in this palette because Narmer is the important figure. So that is hierarchical scale. So artists can use size to indicate the relative importance of figures or objects in a composition. So almost always, larger means more important and smaller means less important. And this is René Magritte's painting. He was a Belgian surrealist artist, and he became well known for creating a number of witty and thought-provoking images, often depicting ordinary objects in an unusual context. And his work is known for challenging observers' preconditioned perceptions of reality. So now let's look at his painting closer and related to the scale. So there is a room, and we can see furniture like a bedroom, like a bed, closet, and also we can see carpet on the floor. But the uniqueness of this painting is that the little daily objects are depicted as larger scale, like brush, cup, comb, soap. So in 20th century, many surrealist artists like René Magritte distorted the scale to create a supernatural effect. So now let's see proportion for the last. The relationships between the sizes of different parts of the work make up its proportions. By controlling these size relationships, an artist can enhance the expressive and descriptive characteristics of the work. So as size relationship change, proportions change. So look at this image. A shows the profile of a Greek vase. And if we change the width, like B, or if we change the height, like C, the overall proportions change. So each of these vase profiles communicates a different feeling simply because the ratio of height to width is different. So when the width is different, is reduced, the vase seems elegant and light. Reducing the height produces the opposite effect. The vase seems clumsier and weightier than the original profile. And we can make a perfect square and a circle with our body's proportion, just like this. This is discovered by Renaissance master Leonardo da Vinci when we strongly open our arms like this image, then the length from the left fingertips to the right fingertips is same as our height. And the proportion can make a perfect square. Also, when we open our legs and the arms with the certain angles like this image, and we can make a perfect circle. In the golden section, the great interest in the use of mathematical formulas to determine perfect proportions has fascinated artists even since. So one of the best known formulas is what has become known since the Renaissance as the golden section. The golden section is a unique ratio of a line divided into two segments like this, so that the sum of both segments is two linear segments. As the longer segment is to the shorter segment. So the result is 1 to 1.618. That is golden section. And this is Parthenon in Athens, Greece, constructed between 447 BCE and 438 BCE, dedicated to the goddess Athena Parthenos, or Athena the warrior maiden. So this is the most typical architecture to use the golden section ratio. So we are going to continue to see the rest of the principles of design in the next video.